I love you. Welcome back to the Couch Potatoes. I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh, and I'm going to have to... we're back to being across the internet waves. I'm going to have to get used to the fact that I've shaved the hair off of my human flesh, off my face there, and it's very weird seeing myself talking in this camera. I haven't looked at myself talking without facial hair.
Well, it looks good, and are you worried that the green's going to show through? Is that why?
No, I'm not worried about that. I think the flesh is still there, so I just got the hair.
No, it looks good. What's
Thanks.
I'm the faceless Leode, so
hell yeah.
I've been covering that mess up with hair for a long time. So.
Yours is a little more off-putting. I at least have a good human suit.
Hey, don't talk about my human suit.
Your human suit doesn't have a face.
Yeah. About that. We put on those, I got one of those glasses with the nose and the mustache attached.
Groucho Marx glasses? Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep,
I even have the cigars. So, we're here talking about Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities.
Another entry into the eerie Halloween time. I know we're weeks after Halloween, but this came out right at the end of Halloween.
There's just so much going on. They were very happy to give us TV in that season.
Yeah, for fucking real, man. It's all on Netflix. If you've ever watched Alfred Hitchcock's Presents, it has all of those feels. There's even feels of Stephen King's Creepshow.
Right.
All of that good atmospheric horror.
That show that was hosted by the guy who played Will Riker. You remember that show? Will Riker, he had a show, and he presented short stories, and he's like, it wasn't called Fact or Fake, but it was like, some of these stories are true. Some of them...
Fear Factor?
No, that was Joe Rogan. It's also, it's very Twilight Zone-y at the
scary stories to tell in the dark.
Sure, yeah, it's scarier Twilight Zone. Those Twilight Zone could get pretty scary. I would argue.
Yeah, dude, I'm in love with this idea too. Guillermo del Toro, he won the Oscars. He became a huge fucking name. And a lot of people in the horror world, of course, like you and me, we've known him for years. Yeah. Ever since, Pan's Labyrinth.
I had him over for dinner last weekend, and it was great.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, we're good friends. Us and Guillermo, But no, probably Hellboy is the first thing that he made that I've watched.
I don't know. That's a good question.
Oh, wow. Hellboy actually came out before Pan's Labyrinth. So, yeah, definitely. Hellboy would have been the... Oh, no, never mind. Blade 2. He did Blade 2.
I didn't watch the Blade movies, but I think...
I didn't know he did Blade 2.
I think That's crazy. Pan's Labyrinth was probably the first that I watched it, but it was during finals week in my Spanish class, and I did some studying and homework instead.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was on.
That's fair.
And then when somebody said, "Hey, let's watch this. Have you ever seen Pan's Labyrinth?" I was like, "No, I've never heard of this movie." And then we started watching it. I was like, "Wait, I know this story. Did this steal from a different movie?" And they're like, "No, I don't think so." But I recognized everything that happened before the little girl finds the labyrinth. And then I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, this is a completely different movie. But anyway.
It's a damn good movie. All of his whole filmography is good. Like,
Mhm.
you know, because I have since, you know, watched
Well,
everything that he's ever done.
I'm not huge... Did he direct Crimson Peaks or just produce it?
He did do Crimson Peak. Yeah, that was his...
I wasn't such a fan.
I remember enjoying it to an extent. It wasn't like my favorite Guillermo del Toro, but I remember watching it and being like, yeah, okay, that was good.
Yeah,
walked away like, I need to watch it more to understand it more, because I didn't really understand it, but I like the look of it, the horror aspects of it, like... Yeah. Because Guillermo in horror is great. You know, Guillermo del Toro he has such a really good grasp of horror, and like he makes horror very watchable is the thing. Yeah. Because it's like there's a lot of horrors that are like, all right, we're gonna jump scare you, and you know that kind of horror I can't stand. Like I've gotten to a point where it's like, you know, you hear the music start to ramp up, and I'm just like, oh my god, I'm just gonna close my eyes. I don't care about this. Like I don't want jump scares.
Concept.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's what Guillermo is so good at, is like his ideas that he has. He has this one, I think it might be Kronos. It's probably not. I can't remember which one it's called. Scroll real fast down here to his filmography. The Devil's Backbone.
Oh, it's the Devil's Backbone. I've seen that one.
I think you did, because I think we watched it together because I was doing my horror movie marathons. And, It's like kids at an orphanage, and it's not like a Western film, but it has a little bit of a Western, like, it's out in the desert kind of area. It's in the Spanish Civil War.
Okay. I think I remember. But
I can't remember a lot. I know there's a kid that was drowned and stuff, but like, there's some horror elements in that movie that really just kind of creeped me out when I watched it. And like, that's the thing, is like, he is good at horror, and he has now gotten to a point where he was like, I want to make a show similar to Alfred Hitchcock Presents, where he gets a lot of the best horror directors working today and just lets them make their own fucking, like, you know, go crazy. Yeah. A lot of these stories are based off of other things, like other short stories. A lot of them are
based off of stories that Guillermo wrote, Del Toro wrote.
Well, 2 of them are.
Okay. 2 of them are.
2 of the 8, I think. So, I mean, you know, 4th of them. But there's 2 of them are Guillermo's. I think 2 are H.P. Lovecraft. You know, there's a lot of little stories. Like but it's like, it's really nice that he got to this position of like power in the filmmaking industry, and he's giving it back to creators, where he's just like, I just want to make this anthology show that, you know, each story is its own thing. They don't have to come together. It's actually really fucking great that they're not in the exact same universe. It's really nice and refreshing. Yeah. Because it just allows the directors to come in, dump their whole style into a horror story and just have a shit ton of fun. And like, I don't know, it really fucking pulled off, because like Halloween was rolling around. Coming home after work just to watch an episode of this was like a really great joy.
A little mini horror movie.
It was so nice. Put on some hot chocolate and sit down and just be like, yeah, scare me.
I think that we have to kind of go through and talk about each of them, because they are each their own thing. There's 8 episodes, so it probably is going to turn into a deep dive here. And I think maybe we ought to get started. You want to tell us about Lot 36? What's in Lot 36? No, just tell me about it.
Let me tell you about Lot 36. So, it's directed by Guillermo Navarro, who has been a cinematographer for Guillermo del Toro for a lot of things, and he directed episodes of Hannibal. So there's another one in here who directed a lot of episodes of Hannibal. Yeah, exactly. Love it. Good horror stuff. And it's written by, this is one that was written by Del Toro. It's based off a short story by Del Toro. It's also written by Regina Corrado. I don't know who that is. I'm sorry. But it stars Tim Blake Nelson in a very, very good role, just because it's like, there's a lot of times you'll hear us talk about when we're talking movies and stuff where it's like, we hate the main character, you know, it's like, we're not supposed to root for him, you know, it's like, why are we watching this? And that's because we're spending like 2 hours around this guy. Tim Blake Nelson is a character you're supposed to hate, but you only have to spend 40 minutes for him, and you're waiting for him to get his comeuppance because it's a short story like that. Yeah. So it really fucking works. And he's that kind of,
He's
a xenophobic right-wing nut.
Yeah.
Is like a way to put him.
Yeah, but selfish. That's what it is.
Yeah.
But it's because he thinks that everything bad happens to him. And it's probably honestly because of what you put out there, Nick. But this is my least favorite role by Tim Blake Nelson. Because he did a really good job, but I hated the character.
Yeah, that's fair. I was going to say, I would say this is my least favorite character because in regards to role, he did such a good job.
Really good job.
He really does a good job of making this character so easily hateable because what this guy does is he goes to storage units and he'll buy up, storage units that have gone to the state or whatever because the people are deceased or they didn't pay and, all their stuff gets turned over. And, he just buys it and sells whatever good stuff that he can find. And, he even buys this one old lady's estate and she just wants her stuff back. That's it. She's just like, can I get my, I can't remember what she's looking for, but she has some of family members, that she really wants back because they're very, not valuable, but because they have a lot of emotional attachment. And he's just like, no, it's mine. Get off my property. Get out of here.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and she doesn't even want anything of value. That's one of the reasons he buys these things. And shit. Photos, that was right. Yeah, it was photos of her father or something.
Yeah,
just
old family photos.
Yeah,
that's all she wanted.
But when he gets in there to another storage unit that he finds, he starts finding. I'm a little hazy on this because it was obviously the first one we watched.
He finds...
It was occult items, right?
Yeah, he finds, I believe...
Was it a book?
No, it wasn't just a book. I think the main thing he found was this seance table. And he brings it to this woman who he knows who can appraise it. And she's like, I think this is a seance table. Very rare, very intricate, very old.
I'm just going to bring in that guy from Fringe.
Yeah. But before that, he figures out how to open it. And there's 3 books inside.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And,
that's where the books come in.
They are books of incantations and such.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why she brings in Sebastian Roche, I believe, or Roche, who plays...
Yeah, the guy who played Thomas Jerome Newton in Fringe.
Gotcha. I forgot, and I still forget
one of the villains.
That particular character.
Oh.
Just him, though.
I love the villains of Fringe. The villains of Fringe are so good.
Yeah. They are. But is that...
I think he was first or second season.
Huh? The first season?
I think he was either the first or second. I can't remember.
Okay.
I feel like he was a precursor to the guy who played Moriarty.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
See, I thought he was the first character. That's why.
Maybe he was. Maybe Sebastian Roche came after him. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've watched that show.
Yeah. Same here. Show. But I think...
Go watch Fringe, everybody. It's such a fun show.
It's a fun one. Yeah, definitely. Lot to remember, though.
But yeah, they bring in Sebastian Roche. He sells it, right? He does buy it from... He's like, I'll give you half now and half when we get the last book because there's another book missing or something like that. Yeah,
he said, if we find the 4th book, I'll give you this much for the lot of them. And
300,000, a huge amount.
It was a huge amount, and he's being Tim Blake Nelson's character. He is hard up for cash because some loan sharks or gambling debts or something like that.
Yo, somebody.
Yeah.
These first two episodes kind of blend together because the characters are very similar. They're hateable characters who owe somebody money and are being very selfish, trying to get money to pay it back.
Right. I feel worse for the next guy.
I do feel worse for the next guy. He's a little more likable, a little more, not a lot, but a little more.
Yeah, but we'll get there.
He's stealing from the dead.
Yes, he is. I said we'll get there.
It's awful, man.
It's bad.
But to wrap on Lot 36, it does have a really great, like, poetic ending where, you know, with Tim Blake Nelson's character, let's say, trapped in a certain area, and that woman he's been screwing over being his choice, like his only avenue of escape.
Right.
Love it. It's a really good ending. And it really does set up the entirety of this show, because it's like you watch this first episode and it has such a good, like, if you don't like Stephen King, you've probably not read any of his short stories. And if you read his short stories, you might like him a little bit more because they're more succinct. You know, he's not rambling forever. He wraps up a really good horror in, like, you know, 20 pages or even less. And it's like, that's the kind of feel this whole show has, and especially that first episode, is it has such a strong, like, Stephen King vibe, where I was just like, I was immediately in, and yeah, Lot 36 is a really good opener.
Yeah, know? I thought it was a good opener, and I do think out of all of these, this probably does have the most Stephen King vibe. I'm not sure.
I think Graveyard Rats, the next one, has... Honestly, Graveyard Rats and The Autopsy are two stories that Stephen King has written versions of. So, like, he has his own version. They are nothing
He's
like
written
in
so
regards
much.
to where they
say
end.
Anything is unlike something that Stephen King has written.
I know, right? and a lot of these stories do take from, you know, classic horror tales, right. You know, like oral traditions and everything. But, like, he has a version of Graveyard Rats. I mean, it's not called Graveyard Rats, but it's like, it's the precursor to Salem's Lot. It's
okay.
I think it's actually just called Jerusalem's Lot. It's in Night Shift. But I just remember that there's a graveyard scene with massive fucking rats everywhere. He even has I think it's also Night Shift. He has another, story of this, like, factory that's being cleaned out. And when they get into the basement, it's filled with, like, massive rats. And then the further down they go, the bigger the rats they find. It's
yeah. So, and that's pretty much what happens in Grave Rats. But before we get a little bit further in that, I don't know if you mentioned Amelia's, who acted that character. It was Elpidia Carrerio. And
oh, thank you. Yeah,
I just wanted to give credit, and
I couldn't even remember her name.
Oh yeah, well I looked it up while you were talking.
Amelia. Yeah, you're right.
But anyways, Graveyard Rats. So as we mentioned, Mason, who is played by David Hewlett, who I know from the Stargate series. He was a side character in SG-1 and then became a main character in Stargate Atlantis.
Oh, I do know him because of SG-1.
Yeah.
I looked up his name and I'm like, yeah, I do know that name.
So he owns, I don't know, somebody in the cast list, a lot of money for gambling debts or something. And all he has in life is running this cemetery. He uses that to grave rob, which it seems like a lot of people are doing to get by. It seems like a very competitive market in this particular world. And at a time, it really was. So he, is having trouble with that, though, because the rats are stealing all the good stuff and the bodies from the caskets before he even has a chance to pilfer. And he usually goes like the night of, Like,
right.
He doesn't waste time. Get it while
I love the
dirt
goofiness
is loose.
of that, too.
Yeah. Like him explaining it to the tough guy, he's like, dude, fuck off. Rats are taking
He's like, the
gold.
rats,
What
they
are you
get to the
talking
bodies
about?
first. He's like, what are you fucking talking about? You like saying the rats are boring into these wooden coffins and like stealing bodies. What are you doing, man?
Yeah. And so one night he finds a really rich guy who he knows is going to be buried with some priceless stuff, including a sword. and he
and some good teeth.
And
right?
some gold teeth. A lot of gold teeth, yeah. And he opens up the casket right as the rats are pulling him away. So he's like, not this time. And he overcomes his claustrophobia and he goes down there and he fights giant rats. It's ridiculous, but I fucking love it. I think it's hilarious.
It's so good.
And
the big rat too. Yeah. The very last monstrous rat, the big mama.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I love the design of that. It's so
Oh, I just
disgusting.
remembered the feeding. Yeah, I just remembered that.
Yeah. Oh, man, why you gotta remind me of that? No, it's so good. And the good thing about this one is it's like where the last one had a more serious tone and everything. This one, I mean, it still had some humor and pushed in there. But this one has a goofy feel. It's like a very, but it's still,
it's partially
still
the language.
It's
especially Mason. He is very well read, very well spoken, and a lot of people around him are like, "Dude, calm down! Stop talking like a book." And it adds some humor to it for sure because he's still like that while he's fighting these rats.
Yeah, it's good. And then, it does get a little claustrophobic, too, when you're trapped in those tunnels with him and you're running from the big rats and everything. Really good work. It's another Hannibal director, Vincenzo Natali. Yeah. Directed some episodes of Hannibal. So there we go. A second one. This one was I would say this one probably has the most Stephen King vibes. I guess that's what I wrote down in my notes, at least. But yeah, it's another one of those where you have a hateable lead, and the comeuppance at the end is deserved. And you don't feel bad watching it happen either because it's I don't know. I mean, obviously it's you don't want people to die or anything, but given the sins that they have committed and the lack of willingness to atone for any of those sins. It feels deserved. It's just it's like a bittersweet ending at the end where you're just I'm sad that they died, but
you maybe shouldn't be stealing from these dead people.
Right?
I though, at the same amount, Jesus Christ. At the same time, I don't know. I am very much on the give me a green burial train, Don't put anything in there with me. You can't use it down there. That it makes no sense to me.
Right.
But
I want to be combusted into a diamond and shot into space.
I mean, that's fun, but still litter.
I could become a star in a million years.
I'm gonna become mushrooms and integrate into the soul of the earth. And
dude,
I'm
that's
gonna
my
do
second idea. Is I want to become a tree.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. I like that idea.
Yeah, that's my second one.
Yeah,
but yeah. It's also just to give it since I already mentioned Vincenzo Natali. It's based on a short story by Henry Kuttner.
You know what I just realized?
I've never read or anything, but
if you put me, this blobby molecular mess, into the earth, that might be a really bad thing. That might kill all the organisms.
Create a toxic waste dump.
Yeah. We don't know. They might have to incinerate me after all. Well, no.
Maybe they'll put you into a diamond and shoot you into space. Maybe and they'll create an arch nemesis planet.
Maybe they could crush us together.
Ew. I'll be adjacent to you for all eternity. I don't want to be crushed with you for all eternity.
But then if one of us hits an asteroid and the other doesn't, or a meteorite,
then I'll just have to remember you fondly for the rest of my eternity. All
right. I think we talked that one. I feel like there's not much else to say.
Moving on to The Autopsy.
Yes, please.
Directed by David Pryor, who did a recent indie horror film that I haven't seen, but I've heard good things about, and I've heard a lot of negative things about. It's called The Empty Man. I wanted to watch it this year, but I kept putting it off because I'm bad. But it's also written by David S. Goyer, who has done a lot of superhero stuff, like Dark Knight, and what else did he do? Oh, he also did the Blade trilogy. Wow. Wow. Oh yeah, the Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Blade Trinity.
What? After
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Call of Duty. He's done a lot of shit, man. But it's based off a story by Michael Shea. It could also be based off the story by, it's not really, but Stephen King has an autopsy story and everything's eventual, where a guy gets bitten by a snake and everybody thinks he's dead and they're performing the autopsy on him, but he's alive and he's experiencing everything that's happening. Yeah, he's just paralyzed, and it's a creepy story. I love that one. That's really good. But this one's a little different. This one is, you have the great F. Murray Abraham, who is called in by a friend, I think a government thing, right? Isn't it a government project or something?
Nate Craven.
Sheriff, yeah, you're right. Sheriff Nate Craven.
Played by Glenn Turman.
Turman.
Yeah, Turman.
Turman?
I thought my dyslexia was getting the better of me.
Yeah, he's called in to do some autopsies, and as he starts performing those autopsies, he starts to unravel the story that happened behind these autopsies, as well as the fact that there is an alien parasite within one of them that can control the bodies that it's in. And what follows is a very exciting and unraveling of this mystery, and some incredibly gross autopsies. There's I think there's 3 autopsies performed in this, and they feel realistic. They feel really just in depth, and you see the needle going through flesh, and it just everything looks good.
Yeah,
it looks really well done. And really gross. Because I remember just watching this episode and just being oh my god, I could not be a mortician?
No, a coroner.
Coroner's okay, yeah.
Mortician is the one who dressed them up, possibly embalm them for burial.
Oh. Yeah, there's an autopsy video game that just came out, and I've watched YouTubers play it, but I would never play it. It looks so... you're doing autopsies, and one of them is possessed by a demon, and you have to figure out which one is possessed by the demon, and then you gotta perform certain rituals to get rid of the demon, depending on which demon it is.
All right, you said the Game Grumps played this.
Not the Game Grumps, but YouTubers. But yeah, this episode really fucking nails that feel. It makes me want to watch The Empty Man more, the movie that the director of this episode made, because this episode is so fucking good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
There's some really good tension in it too. As the story unravels more and more, as you go deeper into it and you learn more about F. Murray Abraham, this is the switch from the last two as well, is F. Murray Abraham as the lead is a really likable guy. You're really rooting for him. Mm-hmm. You want
he fights
a good ending.
He fights so well.
He fights so well. It's yeah. You really are rooting for this character, and you're you want you maybe not even just a good ending, just a winnable ending. You want something to happen out of it that you're just come on, you can do this.
I think
you're rooting for him.
It's just so smart what he does. He said, there's one point where he tells the alien, "You're forgetting something," and it's very ominous. And it really fucks with the alien. He's like, "No, fuck you. I have control here." And it's just so good. And yeah, the ending of it is really good. But for some reason, this was the one that I had the hardest time remembering. I remembered it as you were describing it.
Yeah. It's, I don't know. This was one of my more favorite ones, because it's again, with the last two, it works that it's a hateable character.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like it's not a hindrance to the story because it's, you know, you get that deserved ending, the finale and everything. This one's so much different though, because it's coming at a likable character
mm-hmm.
with an obstacle, a huge obstacle to overcome. And, you know, and also the mystery unraveling is so much fun too, because it's F. Murray Abraham, like, narrating everything too. He's, like, reading it all. Like, oh, good shit all around, man. Like, this was a fun one.
Let's move on to The Outside.
Outside.
This one is directed by Anna Lily Amirpour.
Yes. She's another big indie. Recently, there's I haven't watched it again, but it was another big indie horror movie called The Girl Who Walks. I gotta look it up. Girl Who Walks Home Alone at Night.
That's
a very long name. A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. It's an Iranian vampire spaghetti western. Like, it sounds really awesome.
Interesting.
And it got good reviews and everything, but yeah, he does it again, man. Guillermo gets all these, like, awesome, like, independent, up-and-coming horror directors, and he's just, like, go to town.
Yeah, and this one is a very interesting body horror with really good commentary on how society expects women to appear and be. And the main character is Stacy, played by Kate Micucci.
I think it's Micucci.
Micucci? Yeah. Okay.
I think so. Of Garfunkel and Oates, right?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've seen her in a role like this.
I think so. It's like she's more in comedy usually, right? She's not usually
I've at least only ever seen her in comedy, but she's also a voice actor. And
Garfunkel and Oates is like a musical thing that she did, which is a lot of fun.
Was it just music? I thought it was also a show. I don't know.
Maybe it might have also been a show.
She's just done a lot of stuff recently.
I just know I've listened to the music.
Oates, and you're right. She plays Kate/Oates in it.
Nice.
Okay, so I just want to make sure that we had the right person. But
I think it's kind of funny also that, like, she's, you know, they have her in this role where, as you said, it's like it's all about society and how they force women to feel like they need to look, and like
and behave.
Like, it's so funny that, like, you know, they can show, like, Kate is such a good actor that she can show, you know, the different sides of her, like what you would just probably call a normal human being versus, like, the model side, where at the end of the episode where you have, like, she looks as glamorous as all the other ladies she works with now, you know, and it's like it's really funny. Like, she does such a good job at pulling off these different.
Yeah, so at the end, just to, like you said, it's not really a spoiler at this point, but they're like, what did you do different? And she's like, they're like, did you cut your hair? And she's like, yeah, that's what it is. I cut my hair. Just my hair. But what actually happens in the show is pretty interesting and perturbing.
Pretty gross.
Yeah, pretty gross. So she gets invited to Gina's party. This is a coworker, the most popular coworker, and she's rich, and she doesn't even need to work. And she's played by Kylie Evans, and she shows up, and she's gotten all the ladies aloe glow. I can't remember how he says it. She goes home, and she also is a taxidermist, and she made a mallard, I believe, for Gina, but there was no other gifts exchanged.
Because she was told it was going to be a Secret Santa kind of thing. Yeah.
Anyhow, everybody else was weirded out by that, and she decided that she could not go to work anymore and started using this aloe glow stuff. because Dan Stevens showed up on her television. He is the man, either the man who created it or just the spokesman, but he also has magical powers over televisions to encourage women to use Aloe Glow. But it's also Dan Stevens. I know we talked about him very recently.
He was, and I know he was Rental. The Beast in Beauty and the Beast live action.
Well, The Rental. Remember we're talking about The Rental?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, he was in The Rental. That's right.
And he's also in Legion and Downton Abbey.
So many things.
But anyhow, I really enjoy him, and this is a really good role. But it's another one where it's kind of weird. Like there's a couple of accent roles that he does. That he has. One is the Eurovision. Do you remember? Did you watch Eurovision?
Oh God!
Okay, he was the Russian guy in Eurovision. But now he's doing some other European accent. I think it's supposed to be German, and he's encouraging Stacy to use this stuff, and eventually she spends like all of her money on buying it because it's super expensive.
Even though she's having like allergic reactions to it.
Yeah, it is making her skin like fall off, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And nasty. She's like, this is how I get beautiful on the outside. And her husband, Keith, played by Martin Starr, is like, you don't need to do this. This is really bad for you. You should stop. And eventually he's like, she says, can't you just encourage me in this? I'm trying to transform here. Yeah. And there's this scene where like all of it bubbles up into this box and she uses it like a bath and it's so weird. And,
it's so gross, man.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really good.
Like Dan Stevens talking to her too from the TV is almost hallucinogenic at times. Like you don't know. Like there's so many times where it's like where her husband will walk in and you're just like, is he gonna respond? Like, is he gonna react to what she's like? Well, who have you been talking to? What's going on here? Is it all in her head? Is like, you know?
And he does to an extent, but he's also like he's a very reserved man, and he doesn't want to tell her how to live her life, but he does show concern. He's like, hey, you shouldn't do. He's like my role model. I loved him.
Dude, that's the thing.
Except for
it's really
he didn't understand her still. So
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say. Is like it's really cool how he is a good person.
Yeah,
because he is. He's telling her, you don't need this. You're beautiful. Like I think you're beautiful. Like you don't need those crazy work friends like that too. Like you hate them. They're not us. Like that kind of stuff. And you're like, he is still being encouraging, but in a way that he sees as encouraging. He's not encouraging what she wants him to encourage at that point. And it's really kind of funny how like she's making him out to be this villain. Like she's making him out to be an obstacle when he's not.
Yeah,
and
he's trying to help.
I really love that.
Yeah, it's a really good story in that way.
And this one also has a lot of Doctor Who-y vibes. Like like the ointment itself has a lot of adipose likeness. Where it's very gross and coaty.
I kind of thought it might go that way at one point.
Right? I definitely was expecting that. And also just Dan Stevens talking from the TV.
Yeah,
Do you remember there's an episode of Doctor Who where there's that lady speaking out of the TV and she's trying, it's like, it's when London first has TV sets.
Yes. Yeah.
Like everybody's going to be watching TV for the first time. She's going to soak their minds out.
It did feel like that. And doesn't he come out of the TV at some point? Maybe not.
No, I don't think Dan Stevens does.
I've been watching too much Who lately. There was an angel that came out of TV just recently.
There is an angel, yeah.
Okay, well,
crazy stuff.
I think that before we move on to the other episodes, that we should take a soda pop break. Because I am fresh out of drink.
I agree with you. Let's do it.
We'll be right back.
I love you.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
We've been going for a little bit. but I suspected I suspected
Let's be back.
We're back, eh? Hello, hey.
Okay.
Hey there, hey.
Okay.
We're back now.
So, I forgot to mention on the last one that it's based off a webcomic by Emily Carroll.
Oh.
And I only mentioned it off the bat because the next episode is Pickman's Model, which is based off of a short story by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
And it has a lot of that feel. Like, you get a lot of that immediately. You have young art student Will Thurber, played by Ben Burns, who is he goes to class. You know, they're all doing their studies and everything. They're about to paint this guy. You know how you have models come in, you paint them and everything,
the guy,
or draw them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and they're all supposed to do this. They're all supposed to work on it. And there's a new student that comes in, Richard Pickman. And it's played by
Pickman.
Upton. Sorry.
Sorry.
It's not in the Wikipedias.
Well, it's on IMDb.
IMDb. But yeah, Richard, or Pickman, as we should just say, since the name, Pickman's Model. Again, amazingly played by Crispin Glover.
Yeah.
I love Crispin Glover. Yeah, probably his best role I've ever seen.
Probably. But I have to say, like, when they first talk to him, when William first talks to him, the accent I felt was European, but it's definitely American later. Like, yeah, I felt like maybe in that first scene he wasn't quite so sure. I
took it as he was really reserved.
Good. Yeah, he is a reserved person. Yeah. And he thinks that William is the only person who understands him.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't take it as an accent issue. I took it more as he was just he didn't know how to talk to this person.
It could be what he was doing,
and so he was very quieted. Yeah. But when Will takes a peek at Pickman's work, because he wants to see what the new guy's up to, and at first class, that is, he's almost immediately disturbed. The guy's drawing is quite different than everybody else's.
Yes.
It's like, it gets to, like, there's something about it. There's something off-putting about it. It's kind of grotesque. And he wants to know more, though, and he gets invited back to Pickman's apartment, and Pickman shows him a lot of his other works. This one has the woman in the painting, right? That's this one?
Yes, that's the one that he has hidden away, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what he called her. Anyways, but it's just like, it's disturbing. It really messes, it gets into Will's head, and it just stays there like a nightmare. And, years pass until, he sees Pickman again, or something along those lines. Like, maybe they're still friends, I don't remember. He is out of his life, but then Pickman comes back into his life years later when during a moment where was he about to propose to his wife, Thurber, or to his fiancée?
No, they were already married, but no. So that yes, okay. I think that was before the time jump that you were thinking of. This scene with him and his fiancée. He was supposed to meet her parents and fucked up real bad, and was.
Oh, that's right.
And it was partially because he was drunk. But he was drunk because of the things that he saw in Pickman's paintings.
Right.
And then you flash forward, and they've been married, and they have children. Maybe just a son, I can't remember.
That's right. That's right, he is, yeah. Yeah, and it's pretty crazy. I don't remember a lot of what happens in the back half of this episode, because the front half is really, like, it's really good setup. But it's directed by Keith Thomas. That's right. I remember now. I was struggling with this one because I had a preconception, because Keith Thomas directed the Firestarter remake, which is one of my least favorite movies of this year.
Oh.
and so I remember seeing that note and having trouble with this, but Crispin Glover got me through it because he's fucking amazing.
Well, but I can help you with the back half.
I don't remember too much still.
I can help you a little bit. So he comes back in to his life first by sending a painting forward. William almost refuses to look at it, basically. He in fact tells the deliverer to send it back. Then he gets, this being Pickman, gets introduced to this artist circle or whatever of curators or gallery owners, I don't know. But anyways, William's a part of them, and so is Joe Minot, I think is actually what they call him. But that's Seamus Patterson. Might be Seamus.
Another friend from their class.
Yeah, another friend from the class. And Joe introduced Pickman to these people to try to sell his art, because he thinks it's like the new best thing. And Pickman has become a name a little bit on the side.
Right.
And
I remember that now.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of what to say from there, other than that it really throws William off that he's back in his life, because that's why he went nuts and really on the sauce and almost lost his wife. And she sees him slipping. This is his wife's name is Rebecca, played by Oriana Lehman, and
yeah, that's right.
She thinks he's.
I really enjoyed this one. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. I really enjoyed this one because it's. I do remember now the ending where it could be, because it has that bit of confusion where you don't know if Crispin Glover is evil. You know, you don't know if he's causing these things or if it is all just a figment of Thurber's head.
Right.
You know, because
there's something about the
drinking. I completely forgot about the drinking.
I think you can definitely read this one that there's something that he has some sort of mental illness and it was triggered by his work. I think you could totally read that one this way.
And the artwork is amazing, too.
Yes, it really is pretty
enjoyed
cool.
The artwork.
I don't know who the artist was for those paintings.
Yeah, sadly, I don't know
but I do feel like it being H.P. Lovecraft, we could almost assume that it's real, given the other stories. It really depends how much of the lore, how much this story is a part of his other collections, I think. Depends what it's collected with.
Yeah, I don't think I've read this story because it didn't ring a bell to me at all, but I definitely want to. I mean, I want to know how much they like amped up the character drama, because you know I never read the H.P. Lovecraft short stories, so and I really, that was the thing I really enjoyed, was because I don't know, I love Crispin Glover, and there's like moments where you're like, this guy's evil, and then there's other moments where you're like, dude, he's just innocent, wants a friend.
He
like,
just
come
wants
on,
a friend.
man.
I really like that both views of it. I think it's really smart for that reason. Moving on, I think, to another H.P. Lovecraft story.
This time directed by the lady who directed Twilight.
Wow.
Catherine Hardwicke.
Well, you did better in this. Sorry. Did she direct all 4 or 5 of them?
I think only the first one.
Okay, well that movie was not that bad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for dissing on you so hard. So, Dreams in the Witch House is what this one is called. And it stars Rupert Grint. So she, she directed Twilight, and then she gets to work with cast members from Harry Potter. This is like a retry. And then we can say that Rupert Grint is from this instead of Harry Potter.
But she also already worked with people from Harry Potter because Robert Pattinson's in Harry Potter.
There you go. She did.
Yeah.
Rupert Grint, when he's very young, his little sister, his twin sister rather, dies of an illness, and he watches her spirit get trapped. Or dragged away, actually, or something.
Dragged away?
Yeah.
Yeah, to the forest of lost souls.
That's right.
It's so fucked, man.
Yeah, it is pretty fucked. So he becomes a paranormal investigator when he grows up. The character's name is Walter Gilman, by the way. And
so lame. I'm Walter Gilman, paranormal
his sister's name was
investigator.
Epperly, and throughout the episode,
That's a good name.
She is portrayed by Daphne Hoskins. This episode also stars Emmanuel Cruz Cordova, who we just talked about, as Frank Elwood. He's good in it. He is the partner of. Are you frozen? Are you there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. You just stood very still for a moment.
I was trying to figure out. You said we had just spoke of Ismael Cruz, and I was trying to think. I was like, when did we just speak of him?
It Rings of Power.
Oh my god!
We literally just recorded it.
Yep. You're right. No, I didn't. I don't know if we. I guess we did say his name in that. It didn't. I was looking at his photo and I was like, I know him from something, but yeah,
what is it? What is it? And once upon a time, I think we did talk about Mary Queen of Scots, and he is in that as well.
We did. Yeah, that's right.
They're partners, like I said. The Bureau kind of wants to shut down, and Frank wants to give up because there's not really any money in it, and he's kind of disillusioned by it. But it's still really important to Walter, and Walter knows for goddamn sure it's real because he's seen it happen. So he finds these, I believe, this is based in Massachusetts, like all of Lovecraft's stuff, I think. And he goes and meets Native American people who have this drug that allows you to shadow walk or something like that. I think that's what they call it, or maybe dream walk.
Yeah.
And he ends up in the Forest of Lost Souls, and he finds her. That's the story. And the story. Oh, but it also has to do with this house. The witch's house. The witch's house. So this witch,
Keziah
Mason, played by Lizzie Johnston, she lived in this house and was killed and did some kind of curse thing. I don't remember. There's some kind of legend prophecy, and it has to deal with the Gilmans in some way. I can't quite remember what the prophecy was, but there's also this painter who lived there, Mariana, played by Tanika Davis, and she had all these visions about the twins and stuff like that. So it all
can't forget the human-faced rat.
Oh yes, the familiar of the witch. I can't remember his name. Is it Jenkins Brown?
Jenkins Brown, yeah.
I can't remember. For the life of me, I don't remember why he's a rat with a face.
I don't either. Honestly, that's this whole episode's biggest problem, in my opinion, is I was so lost in the storyline. Everything to do with Rupert Grint and his sister and the Forest of Lost Souls, I was digging. Everything to do with the witch and the house and everything else, I just could not care less about. I didn't know how the two connected. I was like, and it's on me. It is on me. I was not paying as much attention, but this one just did not grab my attention that well. I still liked it.
Yeah, I did.
But it was one of the two episodes where I just I left it thinking that didn't move me.
Right.
That was just okay.
It also felt like a Doctor Who episode, though. The way that it almost ended, like it was kind of like a quick turnaround kind of thing. There's a twist at the very, very end, but
right. The witch stuff in the house kind of had a bit of Crimson Peak vibes.
Yeah, that's true. It did, but it did. It also, I feel like, very much felt like a Doctor Who episode. Man,
definitely.
Let's just cancel this show and do a Doctor Who show. If you want that,
that's what I've been saying.
If you want that, please let us know at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. And that would be very helpful to us if you do that.
Yeah, I'm saying, man, we go to the classic series and we watch not each episode, but each serial.
Stark.
So like each time arc, episode arc, like the 4 episode story arc kind of thing. And we talk about that and all those 4 episodes.
Okay.
Just let me go to town.
We're done with the rest of this bullshit. Okay.
We're done with movies.
Real quick.
We're just going to Doctor Who only.
Before we move on to the next episode, I wanted to say that the Rat Face Man was played by DJ Qualls. And
oh, thank you.
Yes. And he plays the main character in The New Guy. Have you seen that?
The New Guy.
Yeah. It's where
I have not.
He's like a total geek guy before.
That was not at all what I expected him to look like. I just pulled him up.
I know, me either.
He's
not
in Breaking
at
Bad.
all. He was in Breaking Bad.
He's the one kid in... Yeah.
Oh.
He's also in Lost. Who is he in Lost?
Well, anyways, The New Guy was a favorite of me and Corbin's. It was like a
oh my
high
god,
school movie.
Johnny! He was. Do you remember in Everybody Loves Hugo, the Hurley episode where he's working at the
he's Hurley's friend. Yes,
he was Hurley's friend at the chicken place.
All right,
man, we're nerds.
All right, moving on. Tell me about The Viewing.
The Viewing. If you remember, a long time ago, we reviewed a movie called Mandy, a Nick Cage, as part of our Nick Cage playlist.
It was something.
You all love that one. We got return to the Nick Cage playlist. It's that was
First,
a fun time.
I want to start our Marvel playlist from the very beginning.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
Jesus, we're gonna go back. Go back.
You remember what the first one is, right?
Would it be X-Men?
No.
Which one is it?
It's Howard the Duck.
Ah, you suck. It's not canon.
Watch this movie with me.
You're the worst. I've always forgotten about that movie. Shit. I'll do it.
Yes.
God.
I got it.
I mentioned Mandy. I mentioned Mandy because it's directed by Panos Cosmatos.
Right.
It's really fucking weird.
It is.
It's got all of the weird, crazy, I'm an artsy director that you could ask for, all that energy. And he brings all of that to The Viewing. It's the one really weird, out there in style episode. And it's, it's very colorful. You got blended colors, muted colors. There's lens flares on every single fucking kind of surface imaginable. Like, it's beautiful. And what it's about is a wealthy recluse named Lionel Laster. You're gonna have to help me with was that Peter Weller?
Yes, it was.
Okay. Yeah, Wikipedia doesn't line up character names with the actors. It just has the cast down below. It's hurting me.
Well, luckily this is the smallest
of
the cast list. No, it's not. I think the next one is. But this one has a very small cast list.
Yeah, and he invites a bunch of people to his pad, to his place of residence, to just discuss things, right? Like,
yeah. Well, he wants to. Why it's called The Viewing is because they're going to look at this thing that he has.
Oh, that's right.
Yes.
Yeah, they
don't
to another.
Know that they have no idea why they're there.
Well, that's the second half of it too, because the first half is just a long fucking conversation where they're all just sitting around, like getting high and doing shit.
Very much getting high. A lot of getting high.
And there's like Eric Andre's in it too.
Yes,
like,
he plays Randall Roth. He's like this big record label guy. Like, he knows how to find the next big thing. And Lionel really loves his music, his choices.
And Randall had sworn off drugs and that kind of a lifestyle. And so that was his, that was one of his sin moments was, succumbing to peer pressure, man.
Yeah.
And you have, who's Charlene Yee?
Charlene Yee is
she?
Charlotte
Dr.
Z.
Shara?
No, she's Charlotte Z. That's the character's name. Charlotte Z.
There it is. Yeah, you're right. The extraterrestrial life-studying physicist.
That's right.
Anywho, she is a very reserved lady. she's I don't want to say uptight, but she's not experienced, I guess. When she's offered the cocaine, she's like, what the fuck are we doing now?
What's going on, guys?
We're snorting cocaine here. Come on.
And Guy Landon, who is this novelist, played by Steve Agee, he's like, fuck yeah, finally, he brings out the cocaine, rich man cocaine. This will be the best cocaine you ever have, man.
He's like one of the types of people that I hate so much.
Yeah,
he's he portrays this role so well.
Yeah, he's very pretentious, but yet he acts like he's like down to earth. It's yeah.
And who's he always going up? He's going up against. Is it Turd Reinhard?
Yes, I believe so. Yeah. It's Michael,
a psychic
Theriault. Yeah, he's a psychic.
Yeah,
who might actually be a psychic, but probably not. Except for, I guess, he is when he gets into that room.
Well, him and Guy hate each other. Like their personalities are like the precise opposites, and it's good. It makes for some really hilarious moments. But honestly, for the first 30 minutes, they're all in a same room, as we said, doing drugs and just talking and just chatting. And Sophia Boutella is there as well.
She was Dr. Zara. She is his personal health care provider and drug dealer.
Yep. And drug dealer. And also the Mummy and the Mummy remake. And the Tom Cruise Mummy.
Okay.
Gotta remember that.
I don't, because I didn't see that movie.
What? Come on. I could have sworn we watched that together.
No, you went.
This is why I need a camera to see. What I plan on doing is I plan on getting one of those instant Kodak cameras, like the old it prints out and everything.
Right.
And I'm gonna, whenever I go to see a movie, I'm gonna take a photo of whoever I go see the movie with in front of the poster outside. And then I'll keep a photo album. That way I can remember when these kind of moments happen. You can also do that on your phone. I could have sworn I dragged you to the theater for the Mummy.
You could also do that with your phone.
But I don't get the instant camera, and I can't put that into a photo album. I would have to print that off in a different format. Whereas if I get an instant camera, it'll immediately shoot it out for me. I can just shake it and make it appear.
Like a Polaroid.
And I put that.
Okay.
A Polaroid, that's the word I'm looking for.
I thought you were talking about one of those disposable cameras, and I was like, that seems wasteful for you. You're not.
But no, I want the physical photo that I can put into an album.
Gratification. Yeah. Yes. No, I get that. Yeah. That makes sense. I like Polaroid, yeah.
Because I could have sworn we watched The Mummy together. That's where this all came from.
We watched the trailer together a lot. The one
I watched the trailer with a lot of people.
Where it just cuts out.
Oh my god,
it's hilarious.
If you guys, if you couch potatoes out there have not watched the Mummy remake trailer, just type in Mummy remake trailer, no sound, or no music or whatever. It's fabulous. They put out the wrong trailer. They did. When they released the trailer, they put the wrong version out first, and it was comedy gold, man. It's so funny.
It was at, the perfect moment where a silence could work.
Tom Cruise just going crazy, man. Oh my god! Remember when the woman gets pulled out of the plane and it's her parachute goes, she's like,
Okay, all right. Let's move on to the last episode.
Yes, please.
So, The Murmuring. This one's about birds.
This one's beautiful.
Yeah, it is. It also, I felt like it was a strange one to end on. Because I don't feel like
it's the biggest name. That's why.
Okay, Jennifer Kent, the director.
Jennifer Kent, director of Babadook. Right. One of the best horror movies of the past decade.
It is fucking awesome. And I do like this
such a good emotional film.
So Nancy and Edgar Bradley, played by Essie Davis and Andrew Lincoln, they are scientists and a married couple, and they study one particular type of bird. I don't honestly remember what the type of bird was. But
I'm sure it's in the Wikipedia somewhere.
I'm sure it's in there somewhere. But they are famous for murmuring, which is when they fly together as a big flock and make different shapes and stuff like that. And
yeah, literally, I was walking my dog before we recorded and watched that. That was like, there's so many birds out right now because of, winter's coming and everything.
Anyhow, they get to rent this house on this island, I think, that a whole bunch of these birds are going to be at. And they are there just to study them. Also in the background, they have lost their son or daughter. I can't remember. And she is definitely grieving from that. And some of the birds are roosting in the house. And so they get to study them while being in the attic. And that's interesting. It's like it seems miraculous to them. Like, these birds have never roosted this high before. Yada, yada, yada.
Right.
Also, she starts discovering these things about the people who lived in the house. And
before then. Yeah.
Yes. And she starts being haunted by them. There's this woman who I believe it's Claudette is the character's name, played by
That's correct.
Hannah Galway. And she lives with her son, and she tries to hurt him.
Does hurt him.
Huh? She does hurt him. This is true, and that's why they're haunting.
There's a reason they're haunting the house.
Yeah. But basically, Nancy keeps on living through this and has to get Edgar to believe her. And it's interesting, and honestly, I don't remember how it ends.
It ends beautifully. It makes me cry. It's really good paralleling because, Edgar and Nancy both feel guilt for the fact that their kid, died.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think either of them was at fault. I think it was an illness or something, right, that took their kid from them. I don't remember exactly why their kid passed, but it's causing this huge wedge between them.
Yeah, definitely.
And he definitely wants to.
Oh, I mean,
it's not just because he's horny, but
actually, I think she turned around and he drowned. Like, she left him for a moment or something, came back and he was gone.
Maybe that. I mean, if so, it would parallel Claudette because Claudette kills her kid by drowning, and that would make sense.
Yeah.
And it's really nice how it parallels, how it shows, her Nancy Essie Davis's strength, and in fighting the depression that comes with losing a child and everything, and also the wedge between the husband and wife is really emotionally challenging. You're watching them still try to be friends and yet not be able to be in the same room together because of the memories that it awakens and all these feelings and everything. And it's just, I don't know, Jennifer Kent, Babadook was such a good emotional horror film. Like, it hits really strong because of all the emotions in it and everything. And she delivers it fucking again with this. Like, I watched the murmuring and I was stunned through the credits. I was just sitting there the whole time afterwards, just like, what in the fuck are these feels? Like, and it does have a bit of, I will say at the end, there is like a run towards the light moment.
Right.
Where, you're talking to a spirit. And it is a little cheesy.
Yeah.
But it's a short story, and this one is also based off of a Guillermo del Toro short story. This is the other one that he wrote. He wrote the short story. Jennifer Kent wrote the teleplay.
Okay.
Great stuff. Like, I really love this one. And then the bird shit is just so, like, majestic at times. I looked up, it was the starling. It was the starling that do the murmurations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, interesting shit. Closing statement. I think this is some great stuff. I love anthology collections. And this one is probably at pretty close to the top of the list of recommendations for anthology shows.
Yeah.
Especially where it stands.
Easily.
It's 8 episodes. You can watch one a night. and have a nice little a cup of tea with your horror before bed.
Right. Get you in a spooky mood for some nice nightmares.
Yes.
Who the fuck likes going to bed for nightmares? Like, there's got to be somebody out there who's like, yes.
Please dominate me in my dreams, demons.
I hope my recurring nightmare returns.
There was a recurring nightmare that I actually enjoyed because sometimes it wasn't a nightmare. I would be doing some lucid dreaming before I knew what lucid dreaming was, you know.
Because sometimes you could turn the nightmare into a wet dream.
I will not say that that's where that went at all, because it involved my kindergarten teacher.
Whoa! Oh my goodness!
That's not where it went.
Oh my gosh.
Anyhow, I give this show a face and a half. Highly recommend. Go watch it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. This is everything up my alley. This is my favorite show of the year so far. Like, nice. It's what I like. And it was such a comfort to, hit play on the next episode every single day, to come home from work and have Guillermo del Toro just walk out in front of this big old cabinet of curiosities and just, say something hilarious or say something just like, deep or moving or just like, set up the episode in some way and then be like, our director is, and then tell you who the director is and put a little figurine down of that. And it's like, it was good. I can see myself coming back to this show so many times just because it's going to feel nostalgic, because it just felt very much like classic horror, like good classic atmospheric horror. And I give it 4 stars. Like,
nice.
Fucking amen recommendation.
Perfect score for Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. Now tell me, which is your favorite episode?
Yeah, let's wrap up with that. It's really tough to choose a favorite. It's between 3. I would say it's between... No, I can lower it to 2. It's between the murmuring and the outside.
Okay.
Which one's your favorite?
My favorite, I think, is the outside. That was really good.
It really is good.
I felt like whole concept-wise, plot-wise, everything, that it was the cleanest storytelling. And it was also...
That's fair.
Just really good body horror, which, actually makes my skin crawl. So...
Do you remember the end shot, too, of the outside? It has...
where she's laughing?
People who are... Yeah, she's smiling at the camera for like 2 to 3 minutes, or maybe 4 minutes. And it's such a good, it's a long shot. It's just like if you are a true couch potato out there and part of our Patreon page, or if you're a patron, that is, you would have heard in Bangers and Hash me talk about this movie that came out recently called Pearl.
Right.
And Pearl has the exact same ending, where it's a very long take of Mia Goth staring at the camera and smiling. And occasionally she goes crazy. Occasionally she starts crying because it's really hard to hold that posture. And, she's tears are pouring down her face. And then it looks like she's normal again, and she's like, happy TV housewife kind of look.
Yeah.
And it's the exact same thing at the end of The Outside with Kate Micucci, where she's just staring at the camera and just, it's the disturbing grin for the whole credits. Like, I remember that. It was fun. I think if you choose The Outside, I feel comfortable choosing The Murmuring as my favorite then.
Okay.
Because I love that emotion. Well, we're covering our bases. We're giving it. I don't want to give it all to The Outside because I love The Murmuring. That one really moved me. Like, I don't know. It was really beautiful.
Damn. I think my least favorite has to be The Viewing. I still liked it. But I do think that it was, my least favorite. Like, just the, I don't know, the content, I guess. It's really just them sitting around having a conversation. The conversation's very interesting.
But
there's
it's a trippy, so like, talk with the devil kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what it felt like. I just liked everything that went on in the other ones better, I think.
I can agree with you. Yeah, my least favorite came down with that and Dreams in the Witch House. And I love Rupert Grint. I'm excited for his acting career to continue. You know, he's on that Apple TV show that I haven't watched, but it's Shyamalan, M. Night Shyamalan's show. I don't know. I don't have Apple TV. Sorry, guys. Pay us and maybe I will.
There you go. Yes. Now, 100% though. That's a good point. You know, the more support that we have, the more services that we'll be able to be a part of and review for you guys. You're right. Please go to patreon.com/greenandfaces. That is totally true. I was talking about Apple TV. Apple should pay us. And then Apple should pay us. Yeah. Well, I really want Paramount Plus. But it is more money a month, and I also need a new car.
All right, CBS, Paramount, play us, boy.
Very much I need a new car. So, yeah. Patreon.com/greenfaceless. Just get a horse.
Garlic can pull you everywhere.
I got a horse
Just
outside.
Get a carriage, actually.
Fuck you, Mitsubishi. I got a Pitbull outside.
No, when it comes down to my least favorite, to wrap up completely here, it's either Dreams in the Witch House or The Viewing. I feel like I remember less about The Viewing, so it's got to be that one.
Yeah.
But both of those I just thought were okay. Like
right, like they're not bad.
Dreams in the Witch House could have been good if it focused on one story as opposed to having two different stories, because everything with the witch and her ties to that family, I just could not care less.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Well, maybe they're being loyal to the story.
Face, so that was kind of funny.
It did have a talking rat human face thing. It was weird.
It was weird.
Well, I think we made it to the end of the show.
We did it, guys. We
did it.
That's been a long, deep dive into Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. Check it out on Netflix now.
We hope you enjoyed it. This one might be a good one to turn on to lull yourself to sleep. I don't know. I felt like I was pretty low energy anyways. But anyhow, I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.
I am the Green Traveler from Gorsh.
And I am the Faceless Leon. Safe travels, and good night. Green and Faceless on the Couch is a proud production of FictionWorks 19. Are you a fan of the show? Feel free to contact us at greenandfacelessfans@gmail.com or visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/greenandfaceless. Don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe, or rate us on Apple Podcasts. Thank you so much for listening.